Okay, good evening, everyone. How are you today? So let's just continue our lesson. Previous meeting, we finished a few slides already. So let's just move to the next important part of our lesson, chapter 9. We finished a few points already, and today we will be looking at the last part of our chapter 9. And in this last part, we are looking at what we call speech act. So let's see this together. In very general terms, we can usually recognize the types of act performed by a speaker in uttering a sentence. So before I just move on to the next important parts of the speech act, I just want to give you a definition of what the speech act is. So we generally define speech act. So let me give you the definition. Speech act. Speech act is an utterance, considered as an action particularly with regard to its intention, purpose, or effect. And we categorize the speech act into two types. One is direct speech act. Direct speech act and indirect speech act. So what is direct speech act then? Direct speech act is an utterance, when there is a direct relationship between the structure and function of an utterance. So I will also give you a few examples of direct speech act. So when we are talking about direct speech act, we may divide this one into what we call declarative. The next one is interrogative, and the last one is imperative. So declarative is used to make a statement. Example: you wear a seatbelt. The next one, what we call interrogative speech act. So interrogative is used to ask question. Is used to ask question. So let's see example. Do you wear a seatbelt? And the last example of direct speech act is imperative, is used to make a command. Example, wear a seatbelt. Wear a seatbelt. The second one is what we call direct speech act. Sorry, indirect speech act. Indirect speech act is an utterance. Sorry, is an indirect relationship between the form and the function of an utterance. All right, so I will give you example of this as well. Generally in indirect speech act here, so you will see the example of indirect speech act. We have two, declarative. In that case, declarative is used to make a request. Example, it is so hot in here. You are standing in front of the TV. And the next one is interrogative. Interrogative in indirect speech act is used is also used to make a request. Example, could you pass the salt? Could you pass the salt? What time is it now? Okay, so generally when we talk about direct speech act, as I mentioned already, is an utterance when there is a direct relationship between the structure and the function of an utterance. So we categorize direct speech act into three. Declarative, it is very simple. Declarative is used to make a statement, like you wear a seatbelt. Interrogative is used to ask question, do you wear a seatbelt? But imperative is used to make a command, like wear a seatbelt. But generally, when you are using indirect speech act, you are using to perform the language function. So generally, the declarative of indirect speech act is used to make a request. The question is not used to ask a simple questions as well. It is also used to make a request as well. Yeah, like, could you pass the salt? What time is it now? It actually performs a language function of requesting. Here as well, you are standing in front of the TV. In that case, it's called indirect speech act because you are using this to perform a language function. You are requesting someone who is standing in front of the TV to just move aside because he or she is just blocking your way. The same thing here. Interrogative here is also used to make a request. In that case, it's not asking, asking you the ability to perform the actions or passing the salt, but instead it's used in order to perform a language function requesting somebody to do something. Like, what time is it now? Okay, so this is what we call speech act, and we got two types of speech act, as I mentioned here: direct speech act and indirect speech act. All right, so let me just finish this here. I'll just move to our slide. So you will see more on the speech act. In a very general term, we can usually recognize the types of act performed by the speaker in uttering the sentence. The use of the term speech act covers actions such as requesting, commanding, questioning, informing, etc. It is typically the case that we use the following linguistic forms with the following function. You see, we use it in order to perform a particular language function. So let's see here. The form would be described in syntactic analysis of language and the function as what we use language for. So forms here: did you eat the food? Question. Eat the food? Command. You eat the food? Statement. So whenever you use all of these forms in order to perform one of the language function, and that's what we call direct speech act. Okay, sorry, that's what we call indirect speech act here. When a form such as did he, I, they, can you, blah blah is used to ask the question, it is described as a direct speech act. Whenever the one of the form in the set above is used to perform a function other than the one listed beside it, the result is what we call indirect speech act. You see, indirect speech act is usually used in order to perform a language function. Example: would you mind if I open the window? It's not a simple question. In that case, it is used in order to perform a language function. Okay, requesting, asking someone for the allowance, things like that. Okay, asking someone to allow you to do some things like just things like that. Another one, like, do you know where the Le Royal Hotel is? It is not about asking whether you know or not, but in that case, the person is getting lost and he just want help from others. Okay, so the answer to this is not about giving the answer to the one who asked the question, like, oh, yes, I know. Yes, I know. No, I don't know. But actually, in that case, he is getting lost and he just want to know, and he just need help from others to help him find where Le Royal Hotel is. Example, like, can you pass me the salt, please? It's not asking about the ability whether you can pass or you cannot. But in that case, it just perform a language function of requesting or asking someone to please help pass the salt. Another one, like, you left the door open. So you walk into the class, for example, you walk into the classroom and you leave the door open. You may say, oh, you left the door open. In that case, it just perform a language function of requesting or asking someone to just close the window. Another case is the room is very hot. In that case, it's not only making a very simple statement, but he actually asking someone to just turn on the fan or maybe open the window, things like that. So let's just move to the last slide. The different use of these two types of speech act is based on the fact that indirect commands or requests are simply considered gentler or more polite in our society than direct commands. So our ability to interpret the function of speech act is just one more example of the process of interpretation relying on a notion of what the speaker intends to mean. So as I mentioned already, in this chapter, we are looking at the speaker's intended meaning. So when we are trying to understand the speaker intended meaning, we will not be doing our, literal interpretations of what the meaning of the word is, but we are trying to figure out the speaker's meaning as well. So our knowledge of speech act can also help us to, improve our understanding of what the speaker's intended meaning as well. So that is the end of our chapter 9, which is on semantic and pragmatic. បាទអញ្ចឹងគ្រូសូមបញ្ចប់មេរៀនទី9ប៉ុណ្ណេះណាហើយដោយសារតាគ្រូវល់អញ្ចឹង slide ហ្នឹងគ្រូក៏មានឲ្យបងប្អូនហើយវីដេអូហ្នឹងក៏ខ្ញុំបានថតទុកដើម្បីឲ្យពួកយើងយកទៅមើលដើម្បីកុំឲ្យយើងខាតពេលវេលាណាហើយមេរៀនចុងក្រោយនេះគឺយើងនិយាយថាមេរៀនមុនតកតងជាមួយនឹងpragmatic យើងដឹងហើយគឺជាការសិក្សាទៅលើអត្ថន័យរបស់អ្នកនិយាយតើអ្នកនិយាយហ្នឹងគាត់ចង់មានន័យគាត់ចង់សំដៅទៅលើអីអញ្ចឹងដើម្បីយល់អត្ថន័យនៅអ្វីដែលអ្នកនិយាយចង់មានន័យនោះគឺយើងត្រូវតែស្គាល់ថាដូចម្ដេចថា context អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំក៏បានបញ្យល់ហើយតកតងជាមួយនឹង context ដែលយើងមានរហូតទៅដល់ប្រភេទវាផ្សេងគ្នាបាទនៅក្នុងនេះខ្ញុំផ្ដោតសំខាន់ទៅលើ linguistic context ហើយនិង physical context បាទ linguistic context ឬក៏ context ហ្នឹងខ្ញុំឲ្យនិយមន័យហើយយើងមានមួយទៀតគឺ physical context ណាបាទបើសិនតែយើងនៅក្នុង context មួយអ្នកនិយាយគឺយើងច្បាស់ជាយល់ច្បាស់ថាគាត់និយាយអំពីអីគាត់ចង់មានន័យយ៉ាងម៉េចតែបើសិនតែយើងមិននៅ context មួយគាត់ទេគឺយើងមិនងាយយល់ទេបាទហើយមួយទៀតពេលខ្លះយើងអាចយល់នៅអត្ថន័យរបស់អ្នកនិយាយឬមួយក៏អ្នកសរសេរគឺផ្អែកទៅលើ physical context ទីតាំងពេលវេលាណាទីតាំងនិងពេលវេលាហ្នឹងទីកន្លែងហ្នឹងអាហ្នឹងគឺយើងហៅវាថា physical context កន្លែងហ្នឹងទីតាំងហ្នឹងម៉ោងហ្នឹងពេលហ្នឹងគឺអាចឲ្យយើងដឹងថាតើអ្នកនិយាយគាត់ចង់សំដៅទៅលើអីណាបាទចំណុចមួយទៀតគឺ deictic expression ជាទូទៅអ្នកនិយាយដែលគាត់ប្រើ deictic expression គឺដោយសារតែគាត់ assume គាត់ working with assumption គាត់សន្មតណាគាត់ប្រើពពួក deictic expression ដោយសារតែគាត់សន្មតថាអ្នកស្ដាប់ឬក៏អ្នកនិយាយហ្នឹងគាត់បានយល់នៅអ្វីដែលគាត់ចង់សំដៅទៅរកហើយអញ្ចឹងហើយបានជាគាត់ប្រើ deictic expression ហើយយើងដឹងហើយ deictic expression គឺយើងបែងចែកទៅជា3ឯណោះវាមានតាំងពី pronoun យើងមានតាំងពី pronoun យើងមានតាំងពី time យើងមានតាំងពី place ដោយពាក្យថា they'll have to do that tomorrow because they aren't here now អញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាយើងមិនស្ថិតនៅក្នុង context ហ្នឹងគឺយើងច្បាស់ជាមិនដឹងថា day ពីណាគេ that ហ្នឹងស្អីគេ tomorrow ហ្នឹងនៅពេលណា day ហ្នឹងក៏ណាគេ here នៅណា now ពេលណាអញ្ចឹងអាហ្នឹងទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងខ្ញុំ highlight ពណ៌ក្រហមគេហៅថា deictic expression ជាទូទៅនៅពេលដែលអ្នកនិយាយឬមួយក៏អ្នកសរសេរដែលគេប្រើពពួក deictic expression ដែលមានតាំងពី time មានតាំងពី place មានតាំង pronoun ហ្នឹងគឺដោយសារតែគាត់assume គាត់សន្មតថាអ្នកស្ដាប់ឬក៏អ្នកអានហ្នឹងយល់ហើយថាទីតាំងពេលវេលាឬមួយក៏ទីកន្លែងទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺសំដៅទៅលើកន្លែងណាហើយមួយទៀតនេះគឺpresupposition ឃើញទេ presupposition មានន័យថាគាត់សន្មតនៅពេលដែលគេប្រើ deictic expression ហ្នឹងគឺសន្មតហើយថាអ្នកអានឬក៏អ្នកស្ដាប់ហ្នឹងគឺគាត់យល់ថាតើគេសំដៅទៅលើពេលណាសំដៅទៅលើពីណាគេសំដៅទៅលើកន្លែងណាណាហើយមេរៀនចុងក្រោយរបស់យើងគឺ speech act ការប្រើប្រាស់សម្ដីដើម្បីសម្ដែងនៅទម្រង់សកម្មភាពអីចឹងទៅណាបើយើងប្រែប៉ុណ្ណាទៅយើងកុំប្រែ speech act ណាការសម្ដែងសម្ដីបាទការលើកឡើងសម្ដីយកមកនិយាយការលើកឡើងសម្ដីរបស់យើងយកមកនិយាយវាមានសម្ដីផ្ទាល់និងសម្ដីមិនផ្ទាល់ជាទូទៅយើងបែងចែក speech act ទៅជា2 direct speech act ហើយនិង indirect speech act អញ្ចឹង direct speech act ហ្នឹងគឺគេប្រើវាដើម្បីបង្កើតទៅជាទម្រង់ផ្ទាល់ហើយគេបង្កើតវាដើម្បីសួរសំណួរ command ឬក៏ statement ធម្មតាអញ្ចឹងទៅ សំណួរធម្មតាតម្រង់ធម្មតាណាប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលអាពពួក indirect speech act ហ្នឹងគេប្រើវាដើម្បីបង្កើតបានទៅជា language function តើណាហើយជាទូទៅគេប្រើ indirect speech act ហ្នឹងពីព្រោះតែវា polite ជាង direct speech act ហ្នឹងហើយមេរៀនចុងក្រោយរបស់យើងហ្នឹងគឺមានតែប៉ុណ្្នឹងណាគ្រូសូមបញ្ចប់នេះទៅអានេះវីដេអូហ្នឹងខ្ញុំថតទុកឲ្យពួកយើងដើម្បីបានរៀនកុំឲ្យខាត់ពេលណាព្រោះស្អែកក៏គ្រូអត់បានបរៀនដែរអត់បាន live ដែរព្រោះការក្មួយចូលរោងស្អែកមួយហ្នឹងគឺញ៉ាំការទៀតអញ្ចឹងកុំឲ្យខាត់ពួកយើងណាបាទហ្នឹងហើយអញ្ចឹងគ្រូសូមបញ្ចប់ប៉ុណ្ណេះអូខេចាំយើងជួបគ្នានៅថ្ងៃបាទសៅរ៍យើងទៅ study tour ហើយមកពី study tour ហ្នឹងគឺយើង live ពេញលេញវិញហើយបាទគ្រូលែងរវល់ហើយបាទហ្នឹងហើយអរគុណណាបាយបាយ